The world's most comfortable shoes are made of wool. Even Tab Magazine said so. The Wool Runner is your go-to lace-up shoe for everywhere you go. Flexible, supportive, and light as a feather, they take you seamlessly through your entire day. The Wool Lounger, it's a breathable, lightweight, slip-on shoe that's perfect for everything from a red-eye trip across the country or your favorite sport event. Comfort, style, and sustainability do not have to be mutually exclusive. Allbirds is dedicated to making stylish, comfortable footwear using premium natural materials designed for life's everyday adventures. Less is more, which is why Allbirds doesn't include any unnecessary logos or detailing. Instead, Allbirds designs the simplest, most comfortable shoe they could using premium sustainable materials without the premium price. Allbirds textile is made from superfine New Zealand merino wool using fibers that are 20% the diameter of a human hair. Think about that. So unlike the wool you may be used to, Allbirds breathable fabric regulates temperature and moisture without any itch. Allbirds merino wool is ZQ certified. That means it meets the stringent standards of sustainable farming and animal welfare. In other words, no sheep were harmed in the making of these shoes. With the holidays right around the corner, it's time to consider Allbirds as a gift for someone on your list or just for yourself. They're available in a variety of new colors. You can find the perfect pair for you at allbirds.com.
Want an easy way to see if you could save money on car insurance? Geico gives you 3. Call 1-800-947-AUTO. Go online to geico.com or stop by the Geico office nearest you. 3 ways you could save 15% or more.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
Rest in peace to my brother Stuart Scott. Missing you at the finals this year.
I am David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. What do we do?
We give the people what they want.
The people want Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, we didn't expect to be here before Game 5. So let's go down the hypothetical highway. The Warriors are the NBA champions. What happens next? What dominates the offseason in the NBA?
That's one of the things I love about our program. We try to play fast, be forward thinkers, get ahead of the news cycle. So when you hear it in the media, it's basically broken news for the people that follow this show. So we're going to tell you all of the things that everybody's going to be talking about moving forward after the Golden State Warriors win the championship in Game 5. Mm-hmm. Number one, that next season will be the last one for LeBron James in Cleveland.
Yep, there'll be a lot of talk of putting him in different uniforms.
In particular, purple and gold, draft Lonzo Ball, recruit Paul George to the Lakers, 2 homegrown gentlemen that grew up rooting for the team, add LeBron James, who has a $20 million home in Brentwood, who's talked recently openly about a couple of things. One, about being an owner. 2, about the fact that my family and friends didn't even really want me to come home.
Yep, we heard that.
You remember that
shop.
letter? I kind of overlooked that. No question about it.
But don't
and
forget
number
this.
3, I delivered the goods to the Cavs.
Don't forget this, too, Jalen Rose. We'll also be putting him on different teams, but we'll also be putting different superstars on the Cavs, especially in Kevin Love deals. That's another thing that will be happening all offseason. Carmelo comes to mind. Blake Griffin comes to mind. That's another thing that we'll be dealing with. Paul George coming to the Cavs. There'll be a lot of that talk as well in the offseason. What else are we going to hear about this offseason after the Warriors clinch this NBA Finals?
People are going to look to see if KD joining the Warriors truly validates his greatness because they won a championship 2 years ago, won 73 games without him, yet he became the best player on the best team and finals MVP. Also, the discussion will be who now is the best player in the game. Another thing, how Draymond Green losing his emotion was actually the best thing that could have happened for the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, yep.
Yes, they lost the championship last year with him being suspended for Game 5. And even though he lied about calling KD after Game 7, if he did not get suspended for Game 5, KD would not have been able to join their basketball team as back-to-back champions. So therefore, those are the items that are going to be hot takes that you see for the rest of the months as the summer progresses.
Oh, I've got one more while we're doing this, is when it's finally announced, not via his wife's Instagram account, but via actual NBA PR people, that Gordon Hayward is going to the Celtics. We're going to spend the whole offseason saying, are the Celtics the best team in the East? Are the Celtics favored to beat the Cavs? There's going to be that whole thing going on as well. But while we are in the here and now, I'm glad you brought this up. Draymond Green spoke to our guy, Zach Lowe, and he said, I called KD from the parking lot after Game 7. And then KD was asked about it, and he said that is, quote, 100% false. Someone is lying. Why can't these two get their story straight?
I got a semantic for you.
Okay.
He probably texted them.
And
a lot of times when people say that they've been in contact with somebody, correct. A lot of times when people say they've been in contact with somebody, they didn't necessarily call them. They actually text them. And or a lot of people like David Jacoby who don't leave voicemails, don't listen to voicemails. Therefore, when I leave voicemails, they never get heard.
I will never listen to a voicemail that you ever sent. Next, we have this, our guy, Dave McMenamin. Say it, Jalen.
Many men.
He asked Kevin Durant about last year's finals and the Warriors being down 3-1, and Kevin had a very interesting response.
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch any of the finals?
No.
Do you normally do that? Not watch the finals?
Yep. If I'm not in them, I don't watch them.
Okay. He was earlier quoted saying he was watching Game 7 with his agent. Why do NBA players always act like they're not watching the finals? I do not understand it.
And you see this a lot in the NFL, people saying that they didn't watch the Super Bowl or won't attend the Super Bowl because they're not participating. The problem is that's only one game. For an NBA player, we're talking about a series. And that's just like saying that you work on Wall Street and you don't follow the Wall Street Journal. Just because you're not physically watching 48 minutes of basketball, let's not act like you don't know what's going on. You're probably out and about. You can't be anywhere without a TV being on. So what are you, in a bunker? What are you?
Everybody is watching the NBA Finals. Casual basketball fans are watching the NBA Finals. Like, I have relatives that don't even care who wins. They just watch the NBA Finals because they're on. And KD's going to act like he didn't watch the Finals last year because he doesn't want to answer a question, not knowing that he was actually documented by his own documentary watching one of the Finals that he wasn't in, and he put that on wax. Come on, KD, stop lying to the people. That makes me believe that Draymond really did call you from the parking lot after Game 7, to be honest with you.
Where's LL when we need him? Yeah.
Also, Ty Lue had this. He said, quote, I thought the first 2 games we were being too nice. The first 3 games, helping guys up off the floor, smiling, talking to guys. Yeah, I didn't like that. Do you agree that the Cavs were being too nice?
I don't think that they were being too nice. I just think they were getting beat down, especially the 2 games in Golden State. And usually when you're not winning, you always refer back to energy, effort, and toughness. So all of those plays stand out when you don't get a rebound, when you don't get a loose ball, when you're smiling on the floor and your team is down, when you're fraternizing with the opponent. All of these things come out in film study. And for a Cavs team that was really close to winning Game 3 until KD took over in the fourth quarter, there were a lot of remnants of that. But it seems like in Game 4, a desperate team that had a finals records for points in the first quarter, record for points in the first half, records for three-pointers made. Kyrie Irving was terrific. LeBron James had a triple-double. J.R. Smith and Kevin Love were making threes. Tristan Thompson was giving energy. All of a sudden, they look like a new basketball team.
It was more physical in Game 4 as we bring you into Game 5. There's one clip from Game 4 I want you to look at, though, and everyone to listen to. Steve Kerr is arguing about a double technical that was on LeBron James and Kevin Durant. The referee motions toward him, and Steve Kerr reacts like he's about to square up and fight the referee, like the referee was really going to attack him with his right hand. Why was Steve Kerr so jittery?
That was very nice. Mark Davis, the official, kind of looked over at Steve. He from Chi-Town. Steve flinched a little bit, got a little defensive. You know, I love Steve Kerr. He's dealt with a lot health-wise. I'm happy that he's back on the sideline coaching his basketball team. He's socially and politically conscious. He speaks his mind. He's a champion as a coach. And in that moment, that's a piece of footage he's going to want to forget.
I think he did that because Michael Jordan once punched him in practice. I think it all comes down to that. Now he's ready for anything at all times. After Michael Jordan punched him in practice, he's just always looking around for people that shouldn't be punching him to punch him. Coming up next on Jalen Jacoby, we have some interesting developments. A certain promotional company has booked August 26, 2017 at the MGM Arena. We'll give you the details after this. Jalen Rose, as the NBA season comes to a close and we look forward to football starting over again and we look forward to basketball season once again in the fall, an interesting date that you might want to circle on the sports calendar, August 26th has been reserved by Mayweather Promotions. The Nevada Athletic Commission's event calendar reads, quote, Mayweather Promotions will promote a professional boxing event at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. This event will be televised on Showtime. Jalen Rose, August 26th, will we see the spectacle and the fight that will be Mayweather-McGregor?
I hope so. It's going to be exactly what you said, a spectacle, an event. There's going to be a lot of fanfare. It's going to be well documented. It's going to be highly covered and promoted. And I want everybody to be very enthusiastic about the fight. I planned on attending until the national anthem. Once that starts, Conor's going to come out the first 2 or 3 rounds. He's going to be trying to knock out Floyd. And before you know it, he's going to be swinging that air. And as the fight progresses, I anticipate Floyd Mayweather to get his signature knockout. You know, like Tyson and Trevor Burbank, where the guy stood up and fall back down and stood up and fall back down again?
Yeah.
I think Floyd is going to get his version that we truly have not seen of a guy that's 49-0 in a really long time. For those that have seen him now become a crafty defensive fighter that usually wins fights without KO, this is going to be his chance for the audience to get the people what they want.
Exactly. I mean, I think that this is just another negotiation ploy, just picking out this date and reserving it, getting it part of the news cycle, getting people like us to talk about it. But if and when this fight happens, the fight will be terrible, but the press conferences will be great, the atmosphere will be great, the weekend in Vegas will be great, and it'll be a good thing for sport all around.
And it's one of those what would be considered business moves / petty, because he's almost undercutting De La Hoya, who's against his fight, and the mega fight that's coming up with Triple G and Canelo Alvarez. If you notice, this date precedes that one.
Sure does. We have a clip from LeBron James and his boys and some luminaries from the world of business and hip-hop. They get together in a barbershop in a show called The Shop. Shout to PR. Here's a clip that was very interesting when his buddy and friend and business partner Mav Carter brings up the achievements of Tom Brady. Here's LeBron on Tom Brady's athletic achievements.
My only argument with a football player being the greatest athlete of all time,
53 members of the team,
is that, no, not even that, Jesse, is that they only got to play one side of the floor, man.
That's a good point. That's a legitimate
argument. Brady is unbelievable. Brady is the greatest quarterback I ever seen.
That's a great point.
But he affects the game one way, and that's by throwing the ball. And it's great.
Jalen Rose, does LeBron have a point that football players do not achieve as much as other athletes because they only play on one side of the ball?
No.
No, they don't. Yeah.
You do what you're asked to do based on your sport. And so you can't say somebody that's a goalie in hockey isn't an all-time great performer just because they don't play a different position. Or the exact same thing in baseball. Are pitchers not considered all-time greats because they don't pitch every day? It's the exact same thing. You can continue to progress. Basketball is truly unique because all players are required to compete on both sides of the ball. I understand where he's going, but I truly appreciate what he's doing. LeBron is truly shaping his narrative.
Yep.
And how he wants the fans to remember him as a player. And he wants to make sure that he's acknowledged as an all-time great, even though after tonight he'll be 3-5 in NBA Finals.
I love that he says, like, oh, the way that KD joined the team is different because that team was already built. And he was sort of asked a little bit about this from David Aldridge and had a very cagey answer. He's always on top of exactly what he says. Listen to LeBron when asked about KD joining the Warriors.
Well, I can see it from both sides. I'm not going to exactly give you my opinion on how I can see it from both sides. I will at some point in my career. I'm not at that point right now because I know what I say kind of gets people take it the wrong way. So I have my opinion on how people see it from both sides, and I have pretty good knowledge about it. So a few years from now, David, I'll tell you how I really feel about the whole situation.
Wait, a few years from now, you're going to tell us how you really feel about this, LeBron? I have to wait a few years for this? Take us behind the curtain. Why is LeBron doing this?
He wants to throw shade, but he feels like this isn't the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's looking in the rearview mirror at his moves saying, yes, when I joined the Heat, they didn't just come off making it to the finals or winning 73 games. They didn't have to. They won a championship prior with the same player, Dwayne Wade, with the same executive, Pat Riley, pulling the strings. And he clearly went there and joined Chris Bosh. And the thing that makes KD's move similar to LeBron's, what did LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh all say in support when they were having their parade at their press conference? Not 5, not 6, not 7. They knew that they were putting together something truly special. Just like the Golden State Warriors knew when they added KD.
We have video from another franchise that no one would be accused of having a super team, but a franchise in the news often nonetheless. And this is Magic Johnson at Lakers practice, just knocking down 20-footer after 20-footer after 20-footer. Jalen Rose, does Magic Johnson right now have a better jump shot than you do?
He does not, and I have more range. He's the Hall of Fame mogul, however. And he's a little slow on that release.
A little slow.
But here's the funny thing I want to say in all honesty. How about the guys that got to stand there and watch him shoot? It's like, I'm here to play ball. I'm trying to get the Lakers to see me.
Yeah.
Like, can I live?
They're trying to get some running. Like, hey,
guys standing in line watching Magic shoot.
Mr. Johnson.
He like, hold on for a second, y'all.
Mr. Johnson, can I get some shots up, please? This is the thing that bothers me is Rob Pelinka on the left side of the screen. Those jeans are way too skinny for you to be the general manager of an NBA franchise. Like, I do not want my general manager to have skinnier jeans than the point guard of the team. This is the problem. I want my general manager dressed like Harbaugh. Like, I want some sensible khakis, maybe like a blue Oxford. Like, you have to look the part. Come on, Rob Pelinka. We have one of the most competitive things I've ever seen in sports. And yes, I'm still trying to make competitive happen. That's next on Jalen Jacoby on ESPN Radio. Jalen Rose. The New England Patriots had their Super Bowl ring celebrations after coming back in one of the best Super Bowls ever played, coming back from a 28-3 deficit to beat the Atlanta Falcons. They got their rings, and guess how many diamonds were on the ring? 283 diamonds. Now, is this one of the most competitive things that you have ever seen? And yes, I'm still trying to make the word competitive happen.
Between that and Obi-Wan Jacoby, I'm just going to start ignoring you.
You started ignoring me about 5 years ago, let's be honest.
I like it because you got to understand this is a franchise that has won multiple Super Bowls. And because of that, each one has a select rally cry. And for a team that was down 28-3, able to overcome the largest deficit in Super Bowl history to actually win a game, it makes sense. Now, I don't know why the Atlanta Falcons didn't run the ball a couple of times.
Sure.
They have some really good backs. I know one of them got injured. You just run the ball once or twice. I know you want to put the ball in Matty Ice's hands and all of that good cliche stuff, but run the clock out. But with that being said, you got to give Tom Brady a lot of credit, the Patriots a lot of credit, and I like how they used the 28-3 and turned it into 283 diamonds.
So neither of us have championship rings, so I think that we are the perfect people to criticize them. Here's my thing about championship rings. They're way too big and gaudy. Like, you could never, ever just casually wear a Super Bowl ring or an NBA championship ring. Anywhere you go, you are wearing nothing but that ring if you wear it. Yep. If you did win a championship, I know I would ask for the ring to be much smaller so I could wear it in an everyday environment. Is this crazy?
That is crazy. You get the biggest ring possible in case you have to put it on eBay one day. And then you buy the smaller ring you want to wear every day.
That's a great point. That's a great point. You always think these things through. That's why I like doing the show with you. Uh-oh. We have a Stanley Cup Finals update. The series is over. The Pittsburgh Penguins are Stanley Cup champions. Thanks in no small part to a very quick whistle that disallowed a goal from the Predators' citizens. That aside, the Penguins and Pittsburgh faithful were partying late into the night, Sunday night after the win. And part of this partying involved some Pittsburgh fans eating raw catfish. If it guaranteed a Super Bowl victory for your Detroit Lions, would you eat raw catfish?
Nope. I would.
Really?
I normally don't eat uncooked food. Definitely don't do the raw food. But if the Lions can win a Super Bowl, I would absolutely do it.
You say that, but I swear to God, if we got raw catfish and put it right here in this studio, you would not eat it even if it meant a guaranteed Lions Super Bowl victory. Can we just lie and say it's going to be a guaranteed Lions Super Bowl victory? You love the Lions. I don't love the San Antonio Spurs. I find them kind of boring. I do. I find the San Antonio Spurs and Kawhi Leonard kind of boring. I understand that makes me a terrible person and an idiot, and that's fine. I get that. But that's how I feel in my heart. That's how I feel in my heart. I got to be true to my heart. Which is more boring, the San Antonio Spurs or this brand new, terrible San Antonio Spurs logo?
The San Antonio Spurs logo. I'm disappointed in it. The George Gervin-led logo with the spur, that was classic to me. It was edgy. It was fly. Fit well on the hat. Was nice on the jersey I used to rock. Now this one, I'm not a fan of it all. It looks jumbled. It looks unauthentic. I'm just not a fan. It looks inauthentic. I'm not a fan of it at all.
It was just basically they're like, hey, so what should we do with this San Antonio Spurs logo? Like, someone's like, maybe a basketball, and we'll put the letter S, the letter A on it. They're like, cool, meeting adjourned, done. Everybody go home for the week. It was like, wait a second. Like, can we put a little bit of thought into this? Can we have something? I liked incorporating an actual spur. Although a spur is a terrible mascot for a sports franchise, that's besides the point. I do want to see an actual spur in the Spurs logo. This new logo is so terrible, I wouldn't be surprised if they never ended up using it. Yep. Jalen Rose, you travel a lot for work. You travel more than most people I know. Certainly anybody in my phone, you travel more than anybody I know. There was an EasyJet flight flying back from Spain, and they had a faulty engine. EasyJet denies this, but many passengers have confirmed that the pilot came over the loudspeaker and asked the passengers to hold a vote as to whether or not they should fly with the faulty engine. What would you do if the pilot asked you to vote on a faulty engine flight?
I'm saying no.
Are you getting off the plane immediately? I'm getting off the plane. You don't roll the dice on this, pilot.
Absolutely, I want to get off the plane.
Yeah, I'll take risks in life. Like, I'm not averse to risk, but like, if I don't want, like, hey guys, you make the call. Like, you know what? You're the pilot. I have flown 0 hours. You have flown thousands of hours. How about you make this call? Don't put that into my hands, dude or lady. God, that new story upset me more than it should. Let me calm down. This upset me too. Here's Brandon Marshall on his new teammate, Odell Beckham Jr., who finally reported to Giants practice. Quote, he's the biggest superstar our game has ever seen in the history of football. That is what Brandon Marshall said about Odell Beckham Jr. Jalen Rose, is Odell Beckham Jr. the biggest star in the history of football?
Not at all, but what Brandon Marshall is doing is the ultimate media trick. And he's gotten a lot of experience over the last couple of years playing in the league while working as a member of the media. What you do is you elevate the expectations of the people that you criticize and or you play with, so that if and when you don't see eye to eye and or you don't reach your goals, you can be like, I said you was going to win it all. I said you was going to be MVP. I said you was the greatest of all time. Now look at this. What's going on? And so I appreciate what Brandon is doing there, but it's clearly extraordinary hyperbole at its finest.
Absolutely. Uh-oh. We love power couples on this show. And there's been rumors about this athletic power couple, but they're finally out. Your former teammate and former New York Knicks favorite of David Jacoby, David Lee, is on vacation with his power couple mate, tennis star Caroline Wozniacki. They look great on vacation. They seem to really be enjoying themselves in Sardinia, which, when I saw that, I had to admit to myself, I have absolutely no idea where in the world Sardinia is. Jalen, do you know where Sardinia is?
In Germany.
I am going to say, just based on the word Sardinia, that it is not in Germany. I'm going to guess Mediterranean. If you get a second guess, what would you? I'd be like, Italy? Spain? What are you thinking?
Sweden.
Sweden. It must be in Sweden. Well, I hope they really enjoy themselves on the snowy mountaintops of Sweden, shirtless, on the beach, where the pictures are from. We're going to open up our 1-800-FLOWERS Twitter feed and our voicemail line. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show after this, because we give the people what they want. Part of giving the people what they want is listening to the people. We have a voicemail line, 985-80-JALEN. Ladies, call up and leave us voicemails. We'll be featuring your voicemails exclusively on Woman Crush Wednesday, so don't forget, ladies, call 985-80-JALEN. Right now, let's listen to the first voicemail.
What up, Jalen and Obi-Wan Jacoby? Shout out, Reggie. It's Marvin here calling from Perth, Australia. I just want to know, do you guys think Ben Simmons will be the first Australian MVP? And also, the kangaroo apocalypse is real, and it's about to happen. Peace.
Thanks so much for the shouts, Marvin. Shout to Perth, Australia. All Australian listeners of Jalen and Jacoby. A lot of Australian listeners contributing in. He had a very Australian-themed question after he did confirm that the kangaroo apocalypse is real. Jalen Rose, will Ben Simmons be the first Australian MVP?
I don't know if he has what it takes to win MVP. It's hard to determine because he hasn't played an NBA game yet. But he does have all-star potential, all-NBA potential. And when he and Joel Embiid play together, I know I've been talking about this for a year, and people are like, whatever. It's the same as multiple players that we talk about on this program years before they actually mature and people start to pay attention to them. Greek Freak comes to mind as a show favorite. Boogie comes to mind as a show favorite. They're going to be so dominant playing together that it's going to be stupid in the Eastern Conference starting next year. It's going to be crazy.
One thing I would do if I was Marvin in Perth, Australia, is I would start claiming Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving spent a lot of his formative years in Australia. You don't have to be an Australian native, born and bred through your entire life. Claim Kyrie Irving. He's probably got a better chance of becoming the MVP in the next 5 years than Ben Simmons. Thanks so much for the shout. Shout to all of our international listeners, and today especially our Australian brothers down under. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
This is Muggs from Manhattan. I got to apologize to Reggie for how many times I recorded this and didn't do what your intro told me to do. Jacoby, I got one question. I want to know, you listen to the whole entire internet every day. What does that consist of? And Jalen, I want to raise. Please tell me, what is the best way to approach my boss about that? Shout out. Goodbye.
Appreciate the shout. Shout to everybody in Money Making Manhattan. I read the entire internet every morning. I do not listen to the entire internet. There's a lot of SoundCloud rappers out there that would just be too time consuming. Jalen Rose, he wants a raise. How should he approach his boss?
With facts of how what you bring to the table is elevated based on your initial expectation. Also, how you outperform anybody else that would have your current position. And always remember this. When somebody's going for the job, they say they're going to work the hardest. They'll never complain. They'll never take a day off. And I don't care how much money you make or whatever position it is. Once you get the job, guess what you start to do? You start to complain. You start to take days off. And so because of that, make sure when you go into the office, at least your recent track record is clean. You can't go into the office asking for a raise and you just been off 2 weeks. Or you just got reprimanded for something that you did, or your performance review wasn't the best. Go when your stock is at the absolute height, and then you ask for a raise.
It's a great point, Jalen Rose. I would also say read the room. Read the mood of the boss. Maybe this might be the time that you planned was the best time to ask for a raise, but if the boss is in a bad mood or distracted, not the best time to ask for a raise. Appreciate the voicemails. Let's go to our 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed. First question is from Mike. Mike asks, Jalen, are the Lakers playing mind games with the rest of the league by claiming they aren't high on Lonzo Ball?
Not at all. They have the number 2 pick. And so they want to see what type of value other teams are willing to share if they want to come up for that coveted pick in a draft that I feel like there's going to be really notable players entering. To the point when you're watching me on television that night, suited and booted, don't be surprised if 9 of the first 10 picks are actually players that entered the draft after their freshman year. This is going to be the year for the frosh in this year's draft.
Let's listen to another voicemail.
What's up, guys? It's Chris from LA. I got a question for you guys. Do you guys really think that Klay Thompson and Draymond Green will be Hall of Famers? Especially when everyone's saying that Golden State's got 4 of them. So honestly, I believe there's only 2 of them. I don't believe they'll be Hall of Famers. Just want to weigh in on both your opinions on that. Thank you very much. Give the people what they want. Shout out to Reggie. Don't let Jacoby disrespect you like that, man. All right, take care.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate the love. I saw a lot of people getting the baton of the Golden State Warriors when they felt like the team would go undefeated throughout the playoffs, and they ran like Jesse Owens with it. Mm-hmm. It was almost like LeBron and them when they signed. Not 5, not 6. It's like everybody's a Hall of Famer. Now, they may win multiple championships, but the guys that have already won MVPs on that roster, they're trending on a Hall of Fame trek. Usually when you're the 3rd or 4th best player, even on a championship team, it's going to take a different level of elevated status to put you there, because we've seen people with longevity and big numbers not necessarily get in. But I'll tell you what, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, if they play long enough, hopefully they put themselves in consideration. But Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, those gentlemen are clearly trending in that direction.
Thanks so much for the call, Chris. Let's listen to another voicemail.
What up, Doe? This is Blake, and I have a question for Jacoby. So I just saw where Katy Perry released her newest album on Friday, and at the same time, Taylor Swift, who she's been having a feud with, released all of her music to streaming services that didn't used to have them, like Spotify and a whole bunch of others. Would you say that this is an example of somebody being competitive? I think so. I need your insight on this. Thank you. Keep giving the people what they want.
Blake, first of all, I just want to say that I definitely saw this news story. Don't worry, I have all the details. There are a lot of the internet things that interest me that I want to put on the show, but I'm like, you know what? Jalen has no interest in this whatsoever, so this is not going to go well. So, Blake, thank you so much for bringing this up to me. It is very important to me. Now, just in case you don't know, Katy Perry's been hyping her new album. She has a bad track. She dragged the Migos into the studio, paid them way too much money to make some boring song called Bon Appetit, which has a food theme, which is never great for a pop song. And then, when she's releasing her album, Taylor Swift, just so happens that, my management decided it wasn't me, it was the record label. They released every song I've ever written that all of Katy Perry's audience loves on the exact same day that Katy Perry released her album on streaming services. This is 1,000% intentional, 1,000,000% competitive, and perfect for me and terrible for Jalen. So, Blake, I'm so glad you brought it up here on the show. That's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2.
Thank you.
And subscribing to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
Thank you. You're far too kind.
Got to give the people